Okay. Good morning, everybody. Mic check, mic check. Good morning. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. I just wanted to go through a couple housekeeping things. Great to see all of you. It'll be a busy morning walking through this great announcement. What we're going to do is we're going to welcome Mayor President and a few other special guests to the stage. We'll have especially open remarks, and then we'll open it up for questions for you all. Just to note, we are filming this today. We're not live feeding. And when we get to the open remarks, when we get to the questions component, I just want to give us all a second to make sure that we are using the microphones in the audience so that the folks that are tuning in a little bit later to this can understand what's happening out in the crowd, even though they can't see y'all. So thank y'all so much. And without further ado, we'll get this underway.
Good morning. Good morning. This is exciting. It's a full room for sure. We're very happy to have everybody here, very excited about what we're going to talk about today. I'm pleased to share a meaningful step forward in the development of the Northeast Regional Library. This project is a result of years of collaboration, engagement, and hard work by community members, civic organizations, and public leaders, many of whom are here today. I have on stage with me Councilman Kenneth Boudreau, Councilman City, Parish, Councilman A.B. Rubin, Senator Gerald Boudreau, President of the Holy Rosary Redevelopment, Dustin Cravens, and Danny Gillian, the Library Director. Very excited to have them here as well as all of you. Originally planned for Shadow Bluff Drive and Louisiana Avenue, the library is now proposed for a more accessible site along Louisiana Avenue near the intersection of Louisiana Avenue and Carmel Drive. Lafayette Consolidated Government has entered into a letter of intent with the Society of the Holy Family, a Louisiana nonprofit and owner of the property. Under this agreement, LCG will receive a 99-year ground lease at a symbolic rate of $1 per year, with a commitment to plan, design, and construct the public library. This agreement is a major step forward, though final approval will still require action by the Lafayette Parish Council. It reflects years of groundwork, community input, strategic planning, and professional library design work. In fact, more than 1,200 Lafayette residents provided input last year, which is critical in understanding the needs and wants of the community. Many said they want a place that reflects the uniqueness of our culture and community, uses natural light and colors to create a welcoming atmosphere, highlights indoor and outdoor spaces, and fosters curiosity, creativity, and learning. We intend on maintaining this foundational work as we move forward in the design process. Public libraries are critical infrastructure. They promote literacy, preserve history, build community, and provide equitable access to technology. The Lafayette Public Library's mission is to enhance the quality of life in Lafayette Parish by offering high-quality, cost-effective services tailored to community needs. This new location directly supports and advances that mission. The proposed site is within walking distance of major neighborhood landmarks, including the Domain Recreation Center, Clark Field, J. and Lionel A. Bear Municipal Golf Course, Fire Station Number 2, Jesse L. Taylor Center, Dr. Ralph Baranco Elementary School. This location prioritizes accessibility, strengthens community connections, and supports neighborhood revitalization efforts. Community input showed us that improved access, bridging the digital divide, and providing a destination for early childhood programs and tutoring were top priorities, and it is my goal to keep those at the forefront of all we do. Again, we are deeply grateful to the many stakeholders, civic leaders, and community members who have shaped and supported this project, and we look forward to the continued collaboration with the library leadership and the broader community as we move forward in bringing the Northeast Regional Library to life. This is an exciting and promising milestone for our parish. Together, we are building a library that will serve generations to come. With that, I want to say there's so much emotion tied into this project that we're going to let everybody up here say a few words. I think it's worth the time, and I'm going to start with Dustin Cravens.
Well, first of all, thank you, Mayor President Boulet. Obviously, a very exciting time for us, the Holy Rosary Redevelopment Board. This has been a long time coming, delayed but not denied, and certainly we couldn't be more happy to have this partnership with the public library coming to Holy Rosary. Uh, from the very beginning, we felt like we had the best deal. I think this kind of confirms that. And we think that this is a real game changer for the north side of Lafayette and that community. For too long, that part of our city has felt forgotten, neglected, and this is a real investment in the people of the north side and in that community. And so we couldn't be more thankful to the administration, Senator Boudreaux, of course, our council members, and all of the folks, all of the stakeholders who made today a reality. So thank you all for being here. We look forward to the progress, and we want you all to remain engaged with Holy Rosary as we continue to make the changes and the improvements on that campus. So thank you all.
Next, I'm going to ask Senator Boudreaux to say a few words. We will open it up for questions at the end.
Good morning, and thank you, Mayor President. Jamie and I stayed up all night working on your speech, so I'm not going to be redundant and say anything that she's already done. It really captured everything that we really wanted to. I was able to sneak away from the Capitol for a few minutes because this is very important. This is very important. As you know, we're in session. But I wanted to be here in support of the efforts of so many to bring to reality something that's been talked about. And it's now time to open the books, to open those doors, and to revitalize the North Side with a partnership. The Holy Rosary development, as Dustin just mentioned, is something that we have been working on for a long time. You see some progress. This, along with some work with LEDA on the Economic Development Center at that location, a museum, and so many other things will be reality, and we'll have more of these press conferences. So I want to thank Mayor President Boulet, her administration. I want to, in advance, thank the councils for understanding that you got to, at some point, you got to stop talking and start working. And that's why we're here today. Thank you all again.
Thank you, Senator Boudreaux. I will say, when I went to the library board meeting to discuss the project, very quickly started conversations with Senator Boudreaux about Holy Rosary. And it was very fast, working with the nuns out of New Orleans and the Redevelopment Authority to really come to an agreement. There's a lot of excitement. There's so much history and heritage in the land that we're talking about that a library is a perfect use to really capture that in a way that we can start to address the poverty that exists in and around there. I believe, and do check me, but I think the average household income is somewhere around $30,000. It is very challenged with poverty, and the only real cure for that, I think, is something that my mother said for years, is education. And so to bring a library in to really try to establish tools for education is the real opportunity here. And so next, I'm going to bring in Parish Councilman A.B. Rubin. This decision will go to the Parish Council for final decisions, I guess. So I'm going to let A.B. talk for a minute.
Thank you, Mayor Boulet. As you can see, this is a collaboration of a lot of people coming together over the years. 6 years ago, when I first got on the council, I reached out to Councilman Boudreaux, and that's one of the first spots that we talked about was at Holy Rosary. Because of the placement, it's in the center. As Mayor President mentioned a few places, but you think about all the schools around there, Turlings, St. Genevieve, David Thibodeau, J.W. Falk, North Side, and of course you already mentioned Dr. Baranco School. Then next door to that, you have Holy Family. Talk of poverty, let's talk Holy Family. Let's talk about the neighborhood right down the street where the kids can walk from VZ. You know, so this library is very important to our community. And we're thankful to all the people up here and all of you guys out there that played a role in making this happen. We're looking forward to opening the doors and having a great future with this place. Thank you.
And last but not least, certainly is Councilman Councilman Kenneth Boudreaux. I do believe the Boudreaux grew up not far from here, and his passion is by far always one of the biggest, especially in projects like this. So I certainly want him to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Gerald is terming out, so we will need a senator. The Constitution calls for that, right, Pat? But with that said, very briefly, everybody has made the comments. AB talked about the partnerships that could be created with local schools and schools that are in need. When we look at the literacy rate, we talked poverty, but the literacy rate of that area, Gerald and Dustin, the mayor has already spoken about some of the already established public resources, fire stations, and the Jesse Taylor facility, and so much more. So I just want to say thank you. Look, this has been a long journey. I'm going to continue to say thank you for all those who are responsible to getting us to this point. Just one trip down memory lane. To be clear, Holy Rosary from day one was the #1 location. We identified 4 at that time. Shadow Bluff was one, Infinity College on Louisiana Avenue, as well as Brown Memorial Park. The key was to be on the east side of the interstate. That was the challenge, to eliminate barriers, have walkable sidewalks. So Louisiana Avenue was very, very easily identified. As Dustin said, delayed but not denied. Regardless of how we got there, I think we're where we need to be, okay? This site, if you go and look at the history of Holy Rosary, this is specifically to be used for educational purposes, and what a greater educational piece than a library and what is going to complement. So I actually reached out to Joe Robidon last night. I say, this started way back when, and I think it's important that we acknowledge how we get where we get. And I'm just so grateful that Joe was a partner when we started, and Mayor President Monique Boulet is a partner now as we try to get to completion and one day be able to celebrate walking through hallways and entering rooms of technology and seeing kids develop in and around that community. So again, thank you to everybody here. Thank you to all of you. And I think at this time we will actually open up the floor to questions for any member of the platform.
Okay. Jasmine Thibodeau with KATC. My question is, what happens to the Shadow Bluff property? Are there plans for it?
So that is a discussion we'll have with council members. If there's a higher use we can find for it, we will, and if not, we'll put it back on the market. Yes, Claire?
I have a couple of questions. This property was rejected previously because it was a 30-year lease. Now it's a 99-year lease. Is that what made the difference? Or
So I was not involved in the previous negotiations. I don't know if Dustin wants to speak to that.
So it's been quite the process, Ms. Claire. So forgive me if I don't get it exactly right. But we did go and we made a presentation to the library board. At the time, our offer, I believe, was taken off the table or rejected because as I remember it, the RFP was written in such a way that they had to own the property, and we only offered a lease, I think, is what the issue was. So we were not given the opportunity to participate, and that's why they went another direction at the time.
and for Monica or Pat, what what is a letter of intent, and what comes after that?
I'll give it a shot, unless you want to come up and talk about it. So the letter of intent is an agreement that we're going to move forward. We've got to get council approval. We wanted to be able to talk about this and answer questions directly to this before we put it on the agenda, and it became public knowledge. So we will. There is a lease, but we have to have. I have to have council approval to sign the lease. So this letter of intent is a written document. It is not binding, pending council approval. So, Pat? Okay.
Women of wisdom, first of all, thank you for your perseverance and persistence, and I'm delighted that this is going forward. I have a two-part question. The first is, what is the comprehensive plan for developing this property? I understand it's more than just the library. And then the second part of the question is, how does this affect the timeline for the beginning of construction?
So the architectural design has not begun. I think I was a part of the process last year. I believe the library has 2 architects under contract, and one handled the outreach process last year and did a lot of stakeholder engagement. And Danny, if there's anything you want to add in this. And so the programming, the size, there's a lot of information that has been put forward as a recommendation, and I think it's a lot of good work. I'll tell you, I participated in it. There was a lot of back and forth exchange. There was over 1,200 participants. I think the school board partnered and got it to a lot of young people. The highest group number of participants in the group was under the age of 18. And so the feedback, I feel like, is really solid. But we'll have to go into a design process. And let me ballpark 9 months, a year. Okay. Okay. So it's a rough ballpark. We've got to get the design. The property itself, when you go into the presentation done on the programming, it really lends itself to this property tremendously. There was a great desire for outdoor spaces, and this is a large property, as you know. And so our part of it, I think there's great opportunities to tie in a lot of what was asked for in the feedback. I will let Dustin talk bigger about the entire property.
So yes, ma'am, there is a plan to develop the entire 40-acre site. Of course, the 3-story building does get most of the attention and has gotten most of the early on attention from the redevelopment board just because it was in such disrepair. It was one of the top 10 most endangered historic sites in the state, but we've turned that around. If you've not visited the site recently, you should. There's a bunch going on there that we're very proud of. The 3-story building, the work has begun on it. So we've they've pointed the bricks and reset all of the brickwork on that structure. And then we erected a canopy, a steel canopy, over the 3-story building. Now that is a temporary structure. It will be there while we build and shell out the building from the ground floor up. And once we are done with that and the new roof is placed on that 3-story building, we're going to then repurpose that steel canopy elsewhere on the 40-acre campus. So that's one big component that we're extremely proud of. We're also really excited about Head Start, primetime Head Start. We'll have kids on the campus. We anticipate to have kids on the campus in the next couple of weeks. Of course, as the school year wraps up, it'll kind of be a trial run leading into next year. But what an exciting time to have those young people back on that historic site. And so they're actively working. I saw they were out there yesterday kind of doing all of the finishing touches so that those kids can get in there before the end of the school year. In addition to that, there's a site-wide cleanup that's going on currently. So you'll see some grass cutting, some debris removal. Some of those hurricane fences are going to go away. as we kind of start to prepare the entirety of the site for all of the improvements that are on the way. In addition to the library, Senator Boudreaux alluded to another big project that we hope to announce pretty soon, and a partnership with LEDA and a business incubator center there as well that will serve that community. And there's just a tremendous need for it. So we really do see this as a game changer for the north side of Lafayette. As I said, it's a part of the community that has felt forgotten for too long. And this is an opportunity, a reinvestment in that community. And again, couldn't be more thankful to the administration, to our legislative supporter, our hero, Senator Boudreaux, who's really brought home the bacon for this project and continues to be a champion for Holy Rosary. But all of the folks up here have been tremendous partners in the work that we're doing there. And I know it's been a little slow for some folks, but this school closed in 1993. Wrapping our arms around a project of this magnitude with limited resources has been a challenge. But as we kind of look to where we are now and where we're headed, I think it's pretty undeniable that we've proven that the intentions are pure and the work is being done. And so we're really proud of where we are and where we're headed.
Hi, Camden, the current. Building on the timeline question. Sorry. What does the budget look like for the Northeast Library at this time? What has been spent and what is remaining?
We have originally $8 million was set aside, and we are asking to move $7 million from our fund balance into the project, so roughly $15 million. A few $100,000 on the purchase of the land.
One of the things the library board talked about and never really decided on when you stepped in, Mayor President, was the size. You know, they were given 3 options. Are you looking at the large one, the medium one, the small
So they
one?
did make that recommendation that evening of the larger site, and I think we'll probably start there. I'm not tied to an exact footage, but that square footage, that's not exactly my job. That's the job of the architects. But the library board that evening did approve the larger size, and I think that's where the additional funding will come in for that. Just give Claire a microphone.
So the conversation, I mean, this happened pretty fast.
Yeah.
When you went to the board in March,
Mhm.
you didn't know, there was no
No.
discussion of Holy Rosary again?
No. I didn't really, I guess the first year of my term was really preoccupied with bigger fires. Let me say that. And it was a council meeting a couple of, maybe a month or 2 months ago, where the library, the Northeast Library project had been what was termed as deferred indefinitely. And I didn't exactly know what that meant. And so Mr. Otterger and I started looking at the legal structure and realizing that LCG typically builds the libraries. We own them, we operate them. The board does have a little bit more authority in that state legislation allows it to hire and fire the director, but as far as our facilities, we're solely responsible for our facilities. And so when we kind of put that legal memo together, I said the way all of the other libraries have been built, this one should follow that same path and be led by Public Works and the administration.
So the library board doesn't get a vote on this?
I mean, they can vote and make recommendations, and they've done a lot of work that we are going to take. I do appreciate what they've done in the gathering of stakeholder information, because that's a critical step. You don't want to step into something like this without going out and getting that public feedback. And from all indications, I feel like it was a really fair process and a good process. And so from the community perspective, I do think they've done a good job. it's not that they don't get a vote. They're advisory, and they are deep in the library. So if they have recommendations or concerns, we'll listen to them. But it really is an administration project. There's something else I was going to say and I forgot.
What happens if the parish council doesn't go along with this?
Talk to AB. I think just about all of them are very excited. I think all of them. I haven't polled them. That's illegal. But I'm feeling very positive energy. Let me put it that way. And so anyway, no, after that meeting, that is when I started driving by Holy Rosary, and there was a little joke with Vincent because he was behind me one night saying, "What is she doing?" Because I was going slow, and he didn't let me know he was behind him. I said, "I would have told you." So he had to wait to learn. But Vincent is a graduate of Holy Rosary, so I think he jumped this high off the ground. It wasn't something, Claire, that came about until after the meeting. You know, I really started just thinking through it. I went to the property 5 or 6 times, walked it with Dustin. It was the next day, honestly.
What is the schedule for bringing this to the council?
I think, I don't know if we've put it on the agenda. It takes about 6 weeks to get something through council. And so the letter of intent was signed on Thursday. The lease is in process right now. As soon as we have the documents ready to attach to the ordinance, then it takes us, it'll be in the next meeting or two. We are moving fast.
100 Black Men. One of the criteria, I guess, for deciding on the location was walkability and accessibility. And while we know that Louisiana Avenue definitely meets that desire, are there any plans for improvements along that Carmel Drive corridor?
We do have 3 technically separate projects for sidewalks on Carmel Drive, yes. And that is something I have been pushing along since I came into office because they've been on the books for many, many years. And but, you know, we also are looking, so this Louisiana Avenue location plays right into the bigger priority of Johnson Street, Louisiana Avenue. So we own a lot of the property there. We own the whole other side of the street with Muni. What comes of this, I'm not sure, but there's a lot of opportunity, and I don't want to just drop a building right in the middle of it and not really think about the whole space. So there are a lot of considerations. Again, I'm not an architect or an engineer, so I've got to get some real professionals in on what can happen, and then how does it play into the projects that are already on the books. Okay, thank you guys. All right, appreciate it.